And welcome to another episode of Who Gives a Hoot. I've got Braden with me, Zach from the Owltlet Media. You can catch him on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook, I guess. Since, Instagram and Facebook are kind of like connected in a weird way now with
Shared
Meta,
across
it gets a
platforms.
little confusing, but yeah.
So dare I say you could also be on Threads?
I am not on Threads actually. Does Threads
Missed
have like,
opportunity.
yeah, does Threads have like a rail system?
I don't know. I figure because they're linked with Meta, they probably have to have something where at least you can share it on there.
Yeah.
But you've been posting some good content, and we're happy to have you on board to join us, talk about 2 weeks of madness, 2.5 weeks of madness.
Yeah. Pretty good start so far.
Yeah. So last you heard from any of us was Braden talking with the Boise guys, and well, that was our first home game,
Yeah.
and Morrison was cold but feeling real solid.
Yeah. Not that cold though, but very windy.
You're not in the shade.
True.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely, it took a little, it was one of those weird situations where the wind made it cold, but the sun was out. So if the sun was shining on you, it was a little warm, but
I mean, it was definitely one of the better spring games we've had. No snow was shoveled from the field prior to. We didn't have to worry about bad sight lines or nets in front of us like we did at Werner Park. And the concessions were half decent, but the soccer was even better.
yeah,
We're starting
definitely.
out after that not great start in Spokane, um, but we've been on a pretty solid roll here. A good result against Boise. I think Braden, you might have actually called that one score wise.
I don't think so. No. It, at the
No
very
one's going
least,
to
I
go
said
back
we're
and
winning
look.
by
That's when
one.
you're supposed to own up to it.
No. I'm not owning that. No,
Oh
I'm not
yeah.
gonna. Like, actually, I'll give credit to the Boise guys because I think one of them predicted that like if it was gonna end, it'd be like close by like a 1 goal margin. Uh,
Well, that was quite the homecoming because that was Diego who came on as a 60th minute sub and
70th minute, I
brought us a
think.
Yeah,
Close to
the
yeah
70th.
brace.
brought us a brace to pull us into the lead there, and
Yeah,
you know
that was one where it's like you don't think, well, obviously you always hope maybe like we're in this deadlock now, maybe we can come back from it, but you're not always expecting it. But then when it happens, everyone goes nuts.
yeah, no, I mean that was definitely felt like we didn't quite have it in us, and then you throw on some fresh legs, a guy who's from Omaha, played at Creighton, played at UNO. Well, I guess he's from Ralston, uh, as Braden doesn't like to admit that that's part of
It's
Douglas
not
County.
Omaha, man.
It's part of the
It's not,
metro, you'd say, wouldn't
yeah,
Yeah,
you?
it's
like
Metro Omaha. Come on.
yeah,
It's fair.
like I can say yeah, I'm from Chalco, but like, does anyone care about that? No.
Yeah, I guess if you said you're from
Yeah,
Council Bluffs, you're gonna be like, well, you're not from Omaha though. You're from Council Bluffs, even though technically you could say that's part of the metro.
Council Bluffs, Omaha metropolitan area.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, he's a local
uh,
guy. Close
but
enough.
local guy. He went off, had a solid career after college, and great to see him back. Only on a 25-day contract, which is coming up near on its end. But following a bit of team news, it seems like that could maybe turn into something positive. The unfortunate news, thanks to the insanely slow, very biased, and generally awful immigration system, Prosper Kasim was not extended a visa and so is ineligible to play for Union Omaha, which leaves us with a roster slot that Diego seems to fit into very well.
Yeah. I mean, so not only did Diego earn it by getting a brace, which I mean, he could have just dropped his thinker after that. He did start the next home match against Corpus Christi, and even though he didn't score a goal, he had chances, man. He was certainly like vibing with the team, even if it was under short notice. Granted, he had more left side than right side, which isn't where Prosper played, but it adds a nice little balance to it.
To me, it's definitely not like that they're the same player, but it's the same energy. Just watching him up there, he's drawing out 2-3 defenders at a time because he's that good. He's got the skill on the ball. He's got the movement off the ball. As you said, he even when he's not scoring, he's taking chances. He's making the runs. He's opening it up for everyone else. He's not a selfish player. There's, he's really working well with the guys, and happy to see him out there. Happy to see him doing well with us so far.
Yeah, I think he's definitely earned it after the showings that he's had. He did have one pretty big miss in the Corpus Christi game. I can't remember if we were 1-1 at that point or 1-0 still, but there was a point that we could have sealed it there, but we were able to come back anyway. But
I want to say that was the 1-0.
Yeah.
Because I remember that one. It was more or less wide open.
Yeah,
and
straight through to him, plenty of time, and then sky's over. But it happens. Yeah. But sometimes you just don't even expect it to come to you, and you're like, "Oh man, I got all the time in the world," and it just doesn't end in the net.
It's something that happens, but we don't want it to happen often.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then moving outside of the league play, because obviously we've had our great success at our new home. Everything seems a little louder, a little bit closer. You can hear Dom Casciato's cussing across, or no, not Dom Casciato. Jeez, I'm jumping way back.
Whoa. That was last year.
All right.
Bit of a slip.
As I said, there are certain times where we do edit this. Vinny is cussing like across the field. But you can hear the coaches, you can hear the players. You feel a lot closer to the pitch.
Yeah, that's great.
The drums are louder, the crowd's louder when it's going, and honestly, the turnout it feels more invested. It's not they're just around the backyard, but it's people who actually want to be there.
Mm-hmm. And that definitely, says something with casual versus. Obviously, if you have casual fans there, that's great. But when you have that core fan base who's there paying attention, who know what's going on, that in a way gives more strength to it, that these people are passionate about the team and the sport.
Yeah.
Well, and granted, we have a very new roster. It seems like Rich on the PA is trying to do the first name, and everybody calls out the last name, and there's a lot of crickets there. But it's one of those. You can see 4 or 5 home games in, you get the entire stadium doing it, and we're at a point where the fans are there, they're coming back. The guys are playing great soccer. An Open Cup run is always good. Jumping to that other competition we've had, because we skipped over to start talking about the awesome digs at Morrison. We started out our Open Cup run with a resounding victory. And granted, amateur side, it would have been a real shame if we were to lose to an amateur side like a certain team in Maine. But we didn't. We came in. We gave them 8.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think Lexington played an amateur team and also scored 9.
Yeah.
So they had to go and one up us, but
those were the 2 biggest score lines. I don't know if it was in the entire first round of the Open Cup history, but like it was. I think there was some record broken, at least on Lexington's side.
I think
Yeah.
it's like it's definitely the highest scoreline Union Omaha's ever had.
Yeah,
Our previous being 6-1 against Tucson.
yeah.
But this was a coming out off that loss in Spokane to an 8-0 win definitely set the tone going into the rest of the run. You know, 6 different goal scorers. I'd like to see a little bit more ownership on that, not from a center back. Um, you know, love what Owusu did there. Love what Owusu's been doing as far as goal scoring, but we need our strikers to take a little bit more ownership there.
Like so with the Wusu, specifically with his game-winning goal against Corpus Christi, like when he was moving up, obviously he's a defender, but and oftentimes you'll have that during corner kicks, which was kind of the, sequence they were in at that point. But it was like a good 30, 45 seconds after the first initial corner. So you would expect him to at least go back. He was there. He was almost like he was unmarked at points because they weren't sure like who is this guy? How are we supposed to mark him? Why he's in the box right now? And he was doing that even before like that corner as well. Um, so I wonder if, like, specifically with Vinny being a set piece aficionado that he was before and continues to be, uh, like maybe we're going to be bringing up a lot more and putting a lot more pressure on those situations because we've been doing that a lot more. That's another thing, especially with our matches.
Well, we've been winning more set pieces. It feels like game over game, making some great chances there, and not finishing them because other teams have learned to defend well against set pieces over the course of League One. You've had some pretty embarrassing set piece goals over the years, and teams have kind of grown some knowledge there. But Vinny's expertise there, and honestly, our whole coaching staff really just seemed to understand the League One mentality. Vinny having been a player in League One. We have Lars on coaching staff who was a player in League One. And then we've got a number of journeymen around that have really understand the league well. And this is, I think it's safe to say we're established. The league started in 2019. We're now 7 years in. So like there are some key points, no matter how many teams rise or fold, that are pretty consistent with play across the league. And we're seeing, with the exception of the Spokane game, I think a team that is very dominant against that counterattacking style. We're winning when we're winning possession, which is something you haven't seen. We're controlling the midfield.
No,
Yeah.
stop saying that. Stop saying that.
The key to the game, Braedon.
Look, like I'm not saying that's not true, but let's a bit more to than that. But I mean, I've looked at a couple of stats, like for example, in the 11 when we played them on Tuesday, it didn't look like we had as much possession, at least in the first half, that I thought we did. But no, we had. Let me quick bring it up.
What was it?
We still had
63%
63% possession in the first half,
yeah.
And that was before the red card hit, which was in the second half, and that was against the championship side.
Well, we had 2 injury subs in the first half?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Well, 2, maybe there was a third one. I don't know if it was
the third one was second half.
Second, yeah. But Lawrence and Ors Navarro.
Yeah, and we had and then was it Borchak in the second half that went off. Not a great way. Teams seem to have been playing very physical against us. Very noticeable against Corpus Christi, where what was it? 3 minutes for a sub to replace an injured player.
Yeah, that was weird. The new sub rules, I don't know if it's going with the referees or not, or how they're trying to deal with that, but obviously time wasting is the big thing now, and that they're trying to clamp down on, because we did have that with Corpus Christi trying to get Jiba in initially.
Yeah, I saw a lot of confusion. Well, I wasn't 100% sure, but especially in like next to all the fans and everything, there was a lot of confusion. A lot of people didn't really know what was going on, why we only had 10 on the field.
Yeah. But I mean, that's a thing that a lot of teams are clearly dealing with. Spokane had that on their opening day game for that. Uh, but I'd say the main thing too, especially even though we do have that much amount of possession, is that a lot of teams still kind of are in it. And I think Corpus Christi is still the greatest example because, like, for majority of that game, we were the better team, and then we just let in one really odd chance getting in there. And if our league games are going to be that close, I would hope, for the most part, we're not trying to, um, like, get game-winning goals the way we've been doing. So,
Well, I mean, League One has always been a counterattacking league.
yeah,
Because I mean, your guys with the 90-minute stamina game after game are often getting picked up by championship or MLS. Like we're dealing with guys in our league, and I'm not saying Union Omaha specifically, but in the league in general, where there's a lot more sprint speed and quick counterattacking expected rather than the consistent, hold possession all game, work it around, try and find something there. Uh, that's in the past has been one of our biggest problems. It continues to be a problem. Our center backs are performing very well, and we're not even at full strength there. We've got Blake, who's last I talked to him in the concourse was 99%. Kind of a day by day whether he's back to full match readiness, which hopefully we see him in there. I think he's going to have a hard time breaking in. Especially center back wise, I mean, we've talked about Owusu's goals, but he's had what 4 or 5 off the line slide saves this season.
yeah, something like that. Like
it's been ridiculous.
Yeah.
Not to say Shido or Jepson are bad goalkeepers, but every goalkeeper can get caught out in a bad spot, and having a defender who's willing to do that. Coleman has given me very little reason to chastise him this season. Still a found reason, but it. I'm feeling a good vibe overall with the squad. I'm not seeing any particularly weak links.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
well,
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
Go.
Did you want to?
No, go for it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say because like even with the lineup we played midweek against Indy, you see it's mostly second team players, but they're not really second team quality. Like Kempis Tequila coming in as your second team is quite the player to have in that situation.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Like it really is, a second team, a first string. And you see that with the rotation.
Which we're definitely going to need. Yeah, because we got this week we're traveling California after our Open Cup match. Then we're back home. We still have a week break, but then we're out to Colorado for the Open Cup. And then, do we travel to Richmond? Is that right?
I want to say we do.
Yeah, we travel to Richmond. Hold on. Yeah.
Oh,
so a lot of travel, a lot of it's that early season like congestion, especially with the Open Cup. If we are planning on going a little bit deeper, which, yeah, go for it.
Jumping back to Lexington, they did not play an amateur side. They played a NISA team.
Oh, so third.
Aren't they a former NISA team? I thought they were. Flower City was former.
I don't know, but I'm still just making that differential.
They have a cool badge. I know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the travel is insane. We're East Coast, we're Midwest, East Midwest. Mountain, California, Washington, back to the East, like all over the place. I mean, the home, like a week long homestand, a week off is nice, but when you're trying to recover from injuries, you're trying to rotate players. It it's not beneficial, especially when you have Open Cup. And we had home game, uh, and then Open Cup with travel. You're then going there to California. Do you bother to come back to Omaha from Indianapolis, or do you just fly straight out there? I know Spokane to St. Louis, they just did straight to St. Louis.
Yeah. I mean, regardless of what it is, I'm sure they're probably happy with the amount of decent players that they have. Um, and this is not unheard of. This is essentially what it's always been like. It's definitely a bit more congested, at least in the later part of the season than previous years, because we played at Warner and because that's how we kind of backloaded everything.
Yeah.
And then once the Open Cup kind of thins out and the later rounds go by, for in those later rounds, um, it'll make it a little bit easier in terms of just trying to get some rest for these guys. But uh,
Then we have the USL Cup.
yeah, that too as well. Yeah, that's
I
a
mean,
possibility as well.
It's a much more congested schedule than you're used to in your typical third division, I feel like.
Yeah.
Maybe England has more, but with MLS teams not coming in until the third round, unlike most other national competitions, uh, we're able to get pat in those first two rounds. Now, Indy played a lot more physically than they should have had to against a third division team, whether that speaks to our caliber or their lack of caliber. But we're not facing a real cup set challenge until the third round. So we're having that midweek, the greater chance of injury, the greater chance of travel fatigue, like all of that just really, really boils into it and makes the start of the season a little bit more tough.
Yeah. Though I will say, like last year, like at this point, it did not look quite as good for the squad in general. Like I wouldn't say there's like the whole like championship hangover, like all that, but it kind of looked like that at points where like kind of looked lethargic. Our passing wasn't quite crisp, all that other stuff. Ours looks a lot better this year. We look like a much better team. And I hope these guys are ready for what's ever going to be hitting them at this point, because they've pretty much done everything they've been asked to at this point. I can't fault them for anything for much at this point. So
We have to make the playoffs. That's our bare minimum every year.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially with like, since it is the start of the season, I feel like it is going to take a little bit time for everybody to gel. So having those goals scored when you're not really expecting it, having to come back is just kind of par for the course earlier. But then hopefully as we go on, maybe the competitions that we're in thin out a little bit, we can win games more decisively at that point and really look like a solid team.
Yeah.
What point were we dead last in the table legitimately last year? Was
I
it
want to say June,
like
but
May
like
or June, right there? But that definitely lends into the post championship win hangover. But I also felt like, again, to your point, Zach, you know, the gelling is good here. Beginning of last season, we were seeing players arguing on the pitch, like just nothing felt right. There were a lot of egos for not a lot of, or like not the equivalency of skill.
yeah.
And this season, whether it's Jamie or Vinny, uh, or a combination of the both, they've brought in some guys who really work well together, gel well together. The communication is better. There's less flashpoints as far as between the team. There's more coming to the defense against other teams. On the sidelines, it seems like there's more conversation between them discussing the matches rather than standoffishness. It really seems like we've got a very good, very gelling crew this year.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that because so I think it was like week and a half ago. Jamie did an interview with Soccer Down Here, which they mostly do like Southern soccer,
Yeah.
MLS, Atlanta United stuff, and great interview which he did, and like he talked about like specifically recruiting for this year. They wanted to get guys not so much for their skill, but whether the fact that they're actually like good to work with.
Mhm.
And whether they're like, are they a team player? Are they, willing to give Vinny his chance? Because let's put it this way, this is his first full-time coaching job,
Yeah.
and he's been thrust upon it, and he's done it well enough. And not only that, but also working with a lot of guys that have a lot of experience, like Brent Kellerman, like MLS veteran, who's older than Vinny by at least a couple years at this point. Um, and then everyone else just
Competing
buying into it.
hairlines.
What?
Competing hairlines.
Yeah, competing. Oh God, yeah, you're right.
But I mean, that's
But
what makes a great player is someone who can, put aside the ego and trust the coach. And it seems like trusting the coach so far is putting us in some pretty good situations.
yeah, uh, but like
Well,
with Jamie specifically too, he was talking about like previously in Atlanta United, for example, like when they were doing recruiting and he was part of the scout, like that was something they almost never did. Not in like the fact that like, oh, when doing the research was like, oh, can this person work with us or anything like that, but like just like how are they as a person? What are they at? What are they doing like on a daily like outside of work, outside of playing, outside of practice? That wasn't something they didn't really get started doing until like later on when he was with there. And it was like a very big difference in terms of like how people, worked with each other. And then, he's with us now, carrying over. So
well, and that's definitely one of those things where you think about it, it's like your day-to-day job, you're not going to gel with everybody. But in this, you're traveling with these guys, you're spending time in the locker room, you're spending time on the field, you're in high impact situations, very, very stressful situations. Like you need to be able to rely on the guy next to you. And if, you've got issues stemming from whether you vibe in the locker room or, you're a messy roommate or, you know, get shot at in Blackstone or get a black eye in Blackstone before the start of a season, maybe you're not quite what's going to be needed for us to win a season. You bring in guys who are meshing well. Uh, I haven't seen any black eyes, and they're. I think the little bits the team has been doing, with different players, quizzes and everything there. Uh, whether it's Vinny pushing it, Jamie pushing it, or the team pushing it for sponsorship, seems like there's some more emphasis on that, team building and everything um, that's going on. And with to add to the like um, player mentality there, like Vinny played in our league.
yeah,
Like he was a good player there. Um, he's played against some of these guys he's coaching now. He understands what it's like to be in a locker room and not distantly removed, not 20 years removed. No, not high school. He's played at the professional level. He's played at this professional level. And we saw it last year when he took over the change in vibe on the team. But I think we're seeing it from the get-go of just what this team is capable of with a veteran who understands the mentality of the game as much.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think him having played in the league is huge because that isn't something you necessarily think about. Someone who obviously if you had a championship coach come in, it's not going to be as different if once they're in League One now, but you can have a coach or a manager who's like proven that he can, that he's like worth having them in, but understanding the league is a huge aspect, even if he's not as much of a proven manager at that point.
Yeah. All right, let's do some prognosticating here. We've got this weekend against Antelope Valley, Alta Vista, whatever the AV stands for.
Antelope Valley, yeah, it's just AV Alta is like the shortened, and it's in Lancaster, so yeah.
Okay, we're just gonna call them Lancaster FC.
Okay, maybe that's a little too far, but okay. So like if we're going over to that, we can feel really good about the fact that AV Alta has not won a game this year. They've drawn 3 times in the league. They got knocked out of the Open Cup by the amateur side.
El Capitan is back.
Yeah, that did happen as well. Yeah, their captain did get their red card suspension overturned. But I don't think that's going to change much. Like, I'm not saying, like, last year ADV Alta played decently well for a little bit, and then they had that stretch of like 10 games of not getting a single win.
Yeah.
They'll have something to prove, though.
I don't know.
Yeah, they had something to prove last year, and they didn't.
I mean, last year, if you said, "Hey, we're playing Alta away," I'd be like, "Oh, we'll see how that's gonna go." I'm not confident of that, but I'd say like if there's a game for us to like, just work our magic, play the game as it is, not think about who the opponent is. I'd say this is probably it, especially early on this season.
I definitely say this is one I'm happy about going into after the injuries we had on Tuesday, or at least injury substitutions. I don't know how bad they are. We'll never see an injury report in USL League One until there's a sponsor for it. That has been officially said by many people tied with many clubs. But I think we're going to see a very lax squad. Who we have in goal is kind of up in the air for me. I could see Jepson playing again, but it seems like maybe there's an agreement. Jepson plays Open Cup, Fido plays League, but with the Colorado game, knowing Fido always wanting to show his mettle against an MLS side and being the senior goalkeeper on the team, captain on the team, it kind of leaves that up in the air. There is also the possibility we see some of the guys who were working back from injuries last year that may have seen a couple of minutes here or there make the flight out to California, kind of pick up where everybody is. But like Aaron Gomez, who had a few minutes so far this season, and then maybe Blake, if he's feeling healthy enough, at least see the bench. But give a chance for some rotation, especially with the injuries. Maybe try out a few new things, even though it is league play. I think we can kind of comfortably say that certain teams in our league are worth trying things against.
Yeah. Like if we're moving on quickly to like if we want to do a score prediction, I'm just gonna say it right away. This reads 2-0 Omaha win. More than I've been more confident about anything with that because we got good offense, we got good defense. AV Alta is iffy on what they're doing right now. Like I watched their game against Richmond, which was a draw, which was the opening end of the season. Didn't look crazy, and for the most part, like their last match against Chattanooga, yeah, it was 2-2, but it was changed by red cards more than anything. So
the question is your 2-0 an Owusu brace?
No. Actually, my main question here is specifically so with Tequila, because he was one of the best players last year, he has mostly started on the bench, at least during the league games. And he does come out. He does have a lot of good like impact when he's on the ball. He's had some good shots. My main question is, does he have enough time to like actually get into the game? Because it's hard to do an impact sub when that's not what you've done before. I feel like he needs a little extra like running room, possibly, but
He's taken a lot of shots.
he's had good shots, not on target, unfortunately, because they've always been around the post. But
He's taken a lot of shots.
I would honestly just be happy with any sort of clean sheet. I know, I guess other than the first Open Cup game, we haven't really seen that. We've always kind of given away maybe a silly goal. But other than that, in the goalkeeper situation, I feel like they haven't really, neither have had much of a chance to be tested in a way because other teams aren't getting many shots at our goal, but then they just happen to be able to let one slip in. So hopefully, just in the Alta game, we're able to just keep a nice clean sheet.
I
yeah,
will say most of the goals against us have not been like scraps or anything. They've been bangers.
yeah,
Like
that's
they're
true.
they're ones where I'm just like, okay, that like you deserve that. That was a very pretty goal.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, the clean sheet I think would do a lot for morale. Obviously our goal differential would be very positive. We can pull at least a two goal advantage. Jumping to tequila, I up until the indie game, I was not feeling he was worth the signing. Like I understand he was a great player last year, but I just wasn't seeing the impact on the pitch for him. And then maybe that was his off the bench and like wasn't in there, but it it just didn't seem as though he was willing to uh, work the angles as well, willing to lay it off when he needed to, willing to take it when he needed to. It just seemed like there was a lot of second guessing in his play. That definitely pulled off a bit there in Indy. I'm hoping it might have just kind of broken that second guessing, where he's feeling a little bit more confident after taking down a championship side, and maybe we see him start this weekend, um, and maybe him coming off the bench because injury sub was more of a tactic for resting him. Uh, but if we see him this weekend as a starter, if he has the confidence, maybe we see a 3-0 win.
maybe. Yeah,
Yeah, because I mean, I had to ask because I wasn't too familiar with his situation before coming to Omaha at the indie watch party. So I just had heard the commentators on the St. Louis game, whatever their team name is, talking
Thoughts?
talking a huge game of tequila. And just from that specifically, I hadn't really seen enough, kind of like what you were saying. But I do think it's fair to just give him a little grace, just give him a little time. And then, yeah, like you said, in the indie game, he did show up. So I think just as he gets that confidence and settles into the team, I think we'll be able to see a lot of good things from him.
Great name, very German results.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, it it goes back to like where I was saying we need a striker that scores. Um, Pato is a great at the hold up game, but hasn't turned into that goal scorer, and almost seemed like we've been playing a false nine pretty much every game. Where we've got one, then a second, uh, but it's not delivering from where we want it to deliver from, and we need to fix that going in. Like we brought these guys on because they're strikers. Strikers score goals. We don't need them defending. We need them scoring. And I appreciate somebody who's going to be working all sides of the field, but I don't want it to be my center back going up and scoring the goal, uh, doing doing or creating the hockey assist that then sets you up to score your own goal.
Yeah.
Right. I want to see the good up the field play, put it to the striker finds home.
Yeah.
I want a Greg Hurst.
I don't think we're gonna get that caliber quite yet. But
Yeah.
like Tequila can be that caliber.
He
certainly
can.
was that guy last year.
I think Pato can be that too.
Oh yeah. And at the same time, early in the season, I think given Tequila's current like play time, I think he certainly has it. He's had some great chances, great opportunities. He's maybe not quite there yet, but give him the op, and I'd say he can probably do it for us. And it's a lot of our wingers as well. Bill Hart, same way. Diego got his goals, but like he's gonna get more chances for sure.
Maybe.
I'd say for sure. I'd say like we
He's
don't
on a
have
25-day contract. We're almost at the end of those 25 days. We've got to sign him to a real thing.
I think he has it. I think he has it at this point. But
yeah,
it's like our stadium.
Coming from a Chelsea supporter, not having that scoring striker,
Cut the pot.
not having a scoring striker is something that I've related to for the past many seasons. So hopefully one of them can settle in at least to be our main guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can certainly agree with that.
Does he know what team you support, Braedon?
What? Not as a Chelsea supporter, though. No, but
is that an Everton jersey?
Yeah,
I see.
Yeah.
Is that your team?
Yeah, that's my English team.
What about you, Luke? You have an English team?
Loosely Villa, but Bundesliga.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, following this game, we haven't gotten your score prediction, Zach.
Man, I don't know. I think I would also probably have to say a 3-0. Let's just put them past them.
Hey, 3-0 for the majority for the first time ever.
I think it's completely possible. Like as long as we're finishing our chances, we've had a lot of chances. We can create the chances. It's just putting them away, and I think we can do that against this Owltlet team.
I definitely think our confidence is there. Looking forward, we've got Forward Madison following weekend. We were playing Forward Madison on a weekend, which is almost unheard of.
Yeah, at least at home.
Yeah, usually it's been a Wednesday or Thursday, and for the closest team we have in the league. And if they bring some fans, it'd be fun. Their team hasn't really impressed me ever. But their fans are always fun.
Yeah.
And then is it Open Cup? I paid attention more to the matchup and where it was going rather than what day it was on. But it's Open Cup that week after?
Yeah, it's
April 14th or 15th.
Yeah, it's Tuesday or
Wednesday. My birthday, by the way, April 14th. So I'm expecting gifts.
Yeah.
Goals. Expect goals.
That'll be my gift if we can pull off an upset against Colorado.
Yeah.
Well, in the Forward Madison, that's a don't call it a derby. Always a fun match. We end up with a draw there more often than not, just because it's a game that's tough that should never be tough.
Yeah.
But the Rapids will be a fun one, and I think we'll get a chance to talk about it better beforehand. So I don't want to tease too much there, but that's one I'm definitely excited about. Relatively close as far as time-wise, a 7-hour drive from Omaha?
Same
7.5.
Okay, you're driving real slow through western Nebraska.
I actually don't even know if I've I've driven through Colorado. I don't think I've hunkered down and stayed there. So
Fair enough. Good place to flee. But good MLS side for us to win against awful stadium, bubonic plagued prairie dogs outside. No, but it's going to be a fun one. Hopefully, it's one that we can same distance as St. Louis, really.
Yeah.
So hopefully, we can get a good contingent out there for that. Put on a good show, and I'm sure tickets have already been announced or will be announced. So if you're looking at getting out there, get out there. Open Cup away days are a blast if you don't end up in a kerfuffle outside the stadium.
Yeah, that's fair.
Other than that, what the team is doing a half off garage sale thing is that Parliament Watch Party on Saturday?
Kind of. They didn't tell us about it.
Oh, okay.
And it starts at 7:30 when the game's at 9:30, so I don't know what's going on with that. But
Go up early, get drunk, get half off merch, stay late for the game.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. But that is what's Saturday the 4th. Saturday, April 4th at 7:30 p.m. at Cunningham's Pub in Blackstone. Get your half off Union Omaha merch. Still will be $80. And then Parliament's doing their watch party there, 9:30.
Yeah, 9:30. Kitchen, I don't believe will be open, but they'll still be serving drinks.
Lame.
So
Yeah.
okay, I don't know if you guys have really dabbled in the food there. I just want to say this really quick. I had these pretzel bites there. They're like grilled, kind of like the Texas toast is, instead of being like fried. Incredible.
all right, yeah, I can get
Grilled
behind that. I
pretzel
like that.
bites.
Yeah, so good.
All right. I'm intrigued. I'll have to give this a go. Other than that, I don't think there's a whole lot of team news. Seems like the UPSL teams, NPSL teams around Omaha are starting to get their legs. Probably see some Braedon and UNO friendlies coming up here in the next couple months. Soccer starting to liven up. High school season should be, if it's not already started, should be.
Yeah, it started already.
I don't know. You're closer to that age than I am.
One of the dads on my Wednesday night league is talking about his son playing for his high school right now. So
He's got the connections.
yeah.
Yeah. By that he means he's playing for the high school right now. No. Yeah. I'm just trying to think. There's no bills up where people can go harass the state legislature.
I believe there's a meeting on Tuesday for the city council, but I think it's a procedural vote. So
Show up and harass the city. That's at City Hall, or is it elsewhere?
it's at City Hall where they do the usual meeting stuff. So
Okay, show up to the usual meeting spot at City Hall, harass City Council. Got it. And then, yeah, this is going to be a fun season. Check out Zach's solo content. We decided it was not on Threads, but
Not on Threads, unfortunately, for all the Threads users. Yet. There's a huge Threads market I've yet to corner.
But what's your at?
It's at Owltlet, so OWLTLET Media on every platform.
Yeah, so check out Owltlet. Owltlet. I'm gonna get it down.
It's a bit of a word play.
It's a fantastic word play, but it's just
yeah, no, I like it.
getting the tongue.
Yeah, it is a little bit. I was like, well, Owltlet sounds better, but
Better than pellet.
yeah.
But yeah, no. Check out his stuff on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook for cross posting purposes only, and to hit
Yes.
that 60 plus crowd. Uh, and obviously, you can find us at wghmedia.com. And I think Instagram and Blue Sky are where we're at most now.
Yeah, as well as YouTube. But, yeah.
Oh, yeah, YouTube. I mean, this will be on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, welcome.
Yeah.
And Tim has been writing some fantastic stuff that you can find at wghmedia.com. So get out there, check that out. We're going to try and bring various content throughout the season, try and get some interviews for you tied in with the team. And one last question. The last question. You ready for this, Zach?
I think so.
All right. Who gives a hoot?
Who
We
We
do.
we do? Yeah. Wait,
There.
what?
Yeah.